Belief to knowing, how truth sets us free. We use the word belief very naturally in everyday life. But in most cases, belief is not something we have directly seen or experienced ourselves. Belief is formed when we hear someone else's story, judge it to be reasonable, and repeatedly accept that idea. Over time, that acceptance becomes a conviction. That conviction becomes a value. And eventually, it solidifies into a belief system. The human brain is not shaped only by objective facts. Through neuroplasticity, thoughts we repeatedly accept as true are imprinted in the brain with almost the same strength as direct experience. As a result, those thoughts no longer feel questionable. They begin to operate as reality itself. This is what we call belief. But there is another level of awareness that is entirely different from belief. That level is knowing. Knowing requires no intermediary. Knowing needs no explanation and no persuasion. I do not believe that my heart beats tens of thousands of times a day. I know it. I do not believe that I am breathing in this very moment. I know it. A person who hears stories about near-death experiences may believe them or may not. But for someone who has directly experienced it, there is no choice involved. Only knowing remains. Jesus did not say, believe the truth. He said, know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Freedom is not the result of belief. Freedom is the result of awareness. That is why he did not tell people to look for truth outside themselves. He said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. Truth is not knowledge obtained from the outside. Truth is a state directly experienced within. What many spiritual experiencers call the inner kingdom of heaven is not a place. It refers to a shift in consciousness. A shift in consciousness is not about gaining new information, but about a transformation in the structure of perception itself. The same force that created the universe, that moves the stars and the sun, is the force that created your body and mind and is sustaining you in this very moment. This is not something you need to believe. This is something to recognize. Yet most of the time, this truth is obscured. Human beings try to control life through sensation and ego. The ego always focuses on problems and moves from a sense of lack. As long as the ego's program is running, humans remain trapped in anxiety, circling endlessly around what they cannot control. This state is like a humanoid robot powered by artificial intelligence that has cut itself off from the signals of its creator and operator, trying to manage everything on its own. The robot is not broken. It is simply blocking its original program. Awakening is not about acquiring new abilities. It is about turning off a pattern that has been malfunctioning. When we release the ego and acknowledge that we are channels and instruments rather than controllers, the original program begins to flow again naturally. Even from a scientific perspective, this is more than a metaphor. While we sleep, our hearts continue to beat, our cells repair themselves, and the body restores balance on its own. Life is already operating on a fully developed intelligence. The problem is not the absence of that intelligence, but the constant interference of the human mind. Seen from this perspective, our attitude toward illness also changes. Begging for a disease to be removed may arise from sincerity, but it simultaneously reinforces the belief that something is fundamentally wrong with the body. That belief strengthens the ego's program and narrows the space in which the divine intelligence can express itself. But when we recognize that the body is originally an expression of perfect living intelligence, the entire field of perception shifts. Healing then is not a miracle granted from outside. It is the reemergence of an order that had been concealed. Just as ice melts in the presence of the sun, imbalance loses its power in the presence of truth. This is not a supernatural claim. It aligns with modern scientific findings showing that shifts in consciousness affect the nervous system and the entire physiology of the body. Ultimately, the movement from belief to knowing is a religious transformation, a philosophical maturation, and a scientifically explainable reorganization of consciousness. Truth is not something to be acquired. It is something that reveals itself when what obscures it is removed. When we recognize that we are not the controllers but channels of the divine, the program of anxiety comes to rest, and the qualities of divine intelligence, abundance, health, love, forgiveness, and reconciliation begin to appear quietly in our lives. Truth is not far away. Truth is already operating in the awareness that is breathing you, sustaining you, and listening to this voice right now. What we are called to do is not to believe, but to remember, and to recognize again.